Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons that was adopted the same year. I want you all to welcome their Deputy Director, Daniel Högsta.
Thank you very much, Ingvild, and thank you very much to the Nobel Peace Center for hosting us and marking this extremely important anniversary at such a crucial time. And I do want to pay special tribute to Masako Wada-san. Thank you for your inspirational advocacy and your courage and your leadership. Thank you. Dear friends and colleagues, can we avoid a new nuclear arms race? Unfortunately, the evidence strongly suggests that we are already in a new nuclear arms race. In 2024, nuclear armed states spent $100 billion on their nuclear arsenals, an 11% increase from the previous year, representing $190,151 every single minute. Over the past 5 years, global spending on nuclear weapons has increased by 47%. The cycles of escalations and provocations are becoming frighteningly frequent. We've been witnessing one such cycle in the last few days between Russia and the United States, which apparently started with an insult or some high-level online trolling and resulted in nuclear submarines being deployed. The risk is that we become numb to these kinds of things, that this becomes the new normal, which distracts from the urgency and which obscures the only truth that matters when it comes to nuclear weapons, the truth that Nihon Hidankyo and Hibakusha have dedicated their lives to sharing. What happens when nuclear weapons are used? What do they do to people? What do they mean for our shared humanity? So was this new nuclear arms race inevitable? Whether it be because of Russia's aggression and invasion of Ukraine and their numerous reckless threats to use nuclear weapons in the context of that war, or dramatic political shifts, or an arms industry, an increasingly emboldened arms industry that made $42.5 billion from nuclear weapons contracts signed in 2024 alone, or a combination of all those factors. No, it was not inevitable. There have been opportunities to pursue a different path. There have been choices made. Every government has a role to play, and all must be held to account. What are their records when it comes to nuclear weapons? Did they denounce and reject any threat to use nuclear weapons, no matter who made it? How have they contributed to the stigmatization of nuclear weapons and the nuclear taboo? Did they condemn all incitements to proliferation? Most importantly, did they seize the opportunity to change course by supporting the historic ban on nuclear weapons? Did they show leadership and resolve to do so, even when there was pressure from peers or from nuclear-armed states? Or did they shrink away from that challenge? Did they do nothing? Did they make excuses, saying that conditions are not conducive for nuclear disarmament, or that military alliance obligations do not allow it, or that Russian aggression means that nothing is possible? Did they change policies and actually embrace a role for nuclear weapons in their national security in their last few years? Some governments, and many of them are here in Europe, are actively encouraging or abetting nuclear escalation and proliferation. We are now witnessing plans for a new nuclear umbrella in Europe and calls for more deployments across Europe, throwing existing legal obligations to the wind. And in spite of the inconvenient fact that the nuclear weapons in Europe are most likely intended to be used in Europe. Who benefits from the normalization of nuclear weapons? The worst actors, Russia. Responding to threats with threats, creating and expanding roles for nuclear weapons only reinforces the notion that nuclear weapons are a legitimate tool of statecraft. This plays into Putin's hands, and it can only lead to further escalation and to catastrophe. The pernicious myth of nuclear deterrence is at the heart of all of this. Nuclear deterrence is an unrealistic and dangerous propaganda masquerading as realism and pragmatism. It is an unprovable theory based on naive assumptions about human behavior, for which escalation is a key feature, not a bug. But there is an off-ramp to the nuclear arms race. It starts with dismantling the myth of nuclear deterrence and rejecting any role for nuclear weapons, and it is rooted in multilateralism and diplomacy. That is what the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons is all about. This is where real leadership is being shown. The treaty has come a long way in a short time since it entered into force in 2021. It will soon achieve the official support from more than half of the world's governments. The TPNW was inspired by the message of the Hibakusha, and unlike nuclear deterrence, it is rooted in science, in the evidence of the humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons. It is right there for any government to choose to join the right side of history. It might not be easy politically always, but it is as simple as that. Honoring the Hibakusha does not mean simply paying lip service to their suffering, like so many leaders have been content to do. It means actually hearing their message, which is very clear. Recognize the unacceptable humanitarian harm nuclear weapons cause, reject nuclear deterrence, join the TPNW, and eliminate nuclear weapons. We owe the Hibakusha a debt of gratitude, yes, but much more than that, we owe them action. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel Högsta, and thank you, ICAN, for the work you are doing. And now we're going to Iran, where Nobel Peace Prize laureate Narges Mohammadi has been incarcerated for her activism for years, but is now able to join us live. I just want to prepare you that Narges will be speaking in Farsi, so you can prepare to put your headphones on. It will be her brother, Hamid Reza Mohammadi, who will translate her speech for you. Narges,